So we go back upstairs trying to find, looking all around the house for my grandmother, and she cannot be found. And then one of us said, look, the grandma's on the side of the house. What is she doing? And so we look out the window. We all like literally nose pressed up against the window. And she is out there raking the topsoil off of this little patch or whatever it is. And she'll rake and rake and rake. And then there's so much rain coming down so fast, that'll get saturated. And she rakes that up. And I mean, she's going down to different levels of this terrain. And then she takes a handful of seeds, she throws it in the ground, and then she's pushing the seeds down with the heel of her shoe, like into the ground, right? And then she'll put stuff on. And she's doing this out there for at least half an hour. And we're watching her, and as kids, we think she has absolutely gone crazy. Our grandmother, she is lost it now. And so she comes back in half an hour later, and she is soaking wet with the biggest grin on her face I have ever seen my grandmother have. And she said, I planted my seeds. I planted my seed. The ground is right. I planted my seeds. Happy as a clam. About 4 weeks later, maybe 5 weeks later, stuff starts sprouting out of her, all kind of stuff. And because she had to do it so willy-nilly, stuff was sprouting up everywhere. A cucumber was coming up next to a piece of lettuce, was coming up next to a piece of zucchini. I mean, it was just everywhere. And so, there was so much that was coming up because she just threw a bunch of seeds down. There was so much coming up that it was actually more than we could eat. So she set up a little table outside of the house with a little sign, a little small like card table that said, take what you need. And so all the ladies, many of them, would walk past that table, walk past my grandmother and laughed at her, right? We're now asking her what was on the table, what could they take? And she was so proud. She was so proud to be talking about her vegetables on that table and what people could take. That I've never seen her as the strongest person in my life, more excited about what she was able to bring to that community. Now, many of you probably have a story like that in your own families about somebody who was just strong about gardening and all that kind of stuff. But that's a real important lesson for us in the work that we do around case making. I could say a lot about faith and timing, right? My grandmother was able to say even before the circumstances looked like there was going to be a garden. She saw the potential in that. Even when other people were laughing, they didn't see it. They didn't want to go out and work it. She stayed steadfast to do that. But also, she didn't even know the timing of when it was going to be the time to do that, to harvest anything there. She didn't know when the storm was going to come or when it was going to be appropriate time to do that. She just knew that eventually, if she waited long enough for one of those good summer storms, there was going to be a moment for her, right, to throw those seeds. So part of the lesson I want to say to us, too, is we have to be able and willing to throw the seeds even when those storms happen. This was the middle of a tornado. This was not just, it's raining outside, there's a little wind. This was the middle of a tornado, but she knew that there was an opportunity in that season, in that storm, right, to harvest the thing that she's been wanting and that she said to the landlord she was going to be able to do. The reason I bring that story up is because we are in the middle of a storm, y'all. Do y'all know that? Y'all don't know that. Y'all know that we're in the middle of a storm? We are in the middle of a storm, and I'm talking about this thing right here. It's not just a regular summer storm. This is a tornado. And there's some folks who would say to you in the middle of the storm, listen, don't be bold in this moment. Don't say the thing that you're supposed to clean those websites, right, for language. Some folks will say, don't say the thing that needs to be said. Don't, right, moderate what you say and how you say it. There's some folks who would say, bring that in because the storm will eat you up. And what I want to say to you is even in the midst of that, you have to throw the seeds anyway. Like this is actually the season when we have the ability to water something great. It just looks like it's a storm, right, and an opposition, but it really is our opportunity if we would lean into it. So first of all, as we think about this, the storm that we're facing is really tough. This is probably, if you're thinking about the community development space, and I've been in community development for a long time, this is going to be probably our most challenging season. But if we're open to it, it is probably the richest season, like the season that we actually have to leverage the absolute best of what we bring to the table. I was working with a group just this week, actually. We were talking, helping to make the case for the thing that they're trying to do. And they were talking about this very issue, about trying to get more resources into their organization. And they were like, yeah, it's hard. And I'm like, listen, in this season, there is $60 trillion of commercial capital that's just been pulled out of the stock market because folks are nervous and afraid. What is it? Warren Buffett, the head of Berkshire Hathaway, pulled almost all of their resources literally out of the stock market. And all of that capital is looking for a place to land. They're not going to put it in cryptocurrency, I can tell you that much, right? They're not going to put it in Bitcoin. That capital, $60 trillion, is looking for a place to land. And I'm looking at a room full of airstrips.